Hey everyone, it's Dinah, and we are back with more Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This time on to episode 15, season 5, somehow filming in the middle of the heat wave that we are currently going through right now. The first of the two hottest days of the month, so there's that. So, any kind of profuse and continuous kind of sweating and like a shiny face. I've mentioned this in previous videos. That's why. So yeah, and also got a bit of a cold, a cough kind of thing going on. Not sure. I haven't actually tested to see if it is COVID. I'm hoping it's not because I've been kind of careful enough to kind of I guess just lucky enough to actually not kind of be hit with it. But so far, I think it could just be like a regular kind of annoying cough, or it could be something worse. But I don't know. Either way, so yeah, that's what's going on in this corner of the world. But yeah, Agents of Shield. So yeah, last time, oh boy, we had quite the episode last time, didn't we had quite the episode last time. We had the very, very peculiar and very, very twisty return of the one and the only Dr. Fitz of the framework and everything. But yeah, I think not so much a rift anomaly as much as it was literally just a like some kind of actual scarring from the framework within Fitz's mind, Fitz's own mind manifesting him seeing the framework Fitz and everything, and framework Fitz kind of forcing him to do things that he otherwise wouldn't do. So I think both of them. I think the end, towards the end, I think they did kind of pretty much kind of imply that both of them kind of pretty. Fitz himself did come to the conclusion that Daisy's powers were required in order to actually kind of help fully close the rift, because then only she could actually transform the gravitonium the way they needed to be in order to actually go into the little kind of gravity ball thing that they constructed and everything. So, but then they couldn't do it. Only Daisy's powers could actually manipulate it the right way. But of course, Daisy's powers from the Cassius arc had been tampered with through the inhibitors that he plugged in, and I think the inhibitor was designed to be into the spine and the all sorts of did to result in all sorts of hazardous kind of stuff if it wasn't removed properly, which it definitely wasn't. I think he like a Dr. Fitz kind of took over Fitz's mind. He just kind of yanked it out with a pair of tweezers or something. So very, very botched kind of surgery and very, very risky surgery. Yeah. So Daisy was Daisy was traumatized by that surgery, and then Mac was injured too. I think one of the mechs that they brought back, or I think maybe the only mech that they brought back, was actually tampered with as well, and then actually programmed to attack Daisy and to kidnap her, and then to actually kind of attack Mac and kind of kind of anchor him by shooting him in the leg and everything. So Fitz and Dr. Fitz kind of worked in kind of unison there to actually fully immobilize the team and do what needed to be done and everything. So yeah, and then Fitz actually kind of revealed that he had actually been hearing Dr. Fitz in his head ever since they left the framework. He'd actually been hearing his voice, but then this is pretty much the first time he was actively seeing him, be actually hallucinating him in the moment and everything. So yeah, I think it did kind of make me think. It did as always, again, just more theories and more little kind of like oh shit moments come to me long after I've actually watched the episode, because that's just for some reason how my mind fucking works. Did kind of make me think, because then I did then remember because I was thinking back so then he's been hearing him in his head all this time since he left the framework, and they left it at the end of season 4. So then all of the beginning of season 5, and from when we saw him and everything, he's been hearing him, he's been aware of him and everything. So then have there been other moments where he might have been kind of evil or kind of shady or something? And then I remembered I think the most notable, not sure if it of any others, but I think the most notable ones were back in when he first showed up in that master reveal thing, the episode straight after. I think he was talking about how he agreed with the whole kind of the methods that Cassius was using to cull and to control the humans and everything, and being like, oh, that's exactly what I would do, and here's more and stuff. And he just talked about some really dark methods and dark kind of procedures and everything. And then afterwards, I think him taking out the Kree with the wire to actually beheading them and being like, we need to send a message and make the others afraid to follow. So him actually doing stuff that regular Fitz will do. Because I think the beauty of that kind of thing, again, I think I probably mentioned it back then too, is the fact that like you can just as easily think back then without knowing about this twist, is that like that's just Fitz kind of maybe learning and readapting and actually kind of being more brutal because of the conditions that they're in. But then it's like it actually kind of adds just so many more layers to it when you realize, oh, it's actually Dr. Fitz's voice in his head being like, do this, do that, make them afraid, and you know, like adapt to their ranks, and then finally pull the rug under them and all that kind of stuff. But then the first time, but then the first time he actually shows up, Fitz is then being made to betray his own team and everything. It's just God, yeah. So yeah, again, of course, I actually think about this stuff. Like I come to these conclusions long after I've actually seen the episode. So yeah, makes you wonder, like, like the amount I actually like how long my reviews tend to be after each episode, and then I still end up coming up with more stuff even afterwards. So yeah, but yeah, either way, so yeah, it was a Dr. Fitz and Fitz heavy episode, and again, Ian DeCastiga smashed it. As per usual, he just does not know how to not act. He doesn't know how to not deliver. He doesn't know how to deliver below expectations, or to like how to not surpass expectations, or to deliver like a bad performance. He just doesn't know. He just doesn't know how to do that. It's just not in his nature. So there's that. So yeah, so we had that, and then the ending itself. The ending was actually its own little kind of really surprising reveal of Deke kind of very kind of somewhat subtly revealing to Simmons that he is in fact the Fitzsimmons grandchild. He's a Fitzsimmons grandson and everything. So he revealed that with like his kind of knowledge of their history from stories passed down by his mother, and then even the actual quote that he used as well of like the steps you take don't have to be big, but they just got to take you in the right direction and everything. So then that's when Simmons realized, oh shit, you're our grandson. So and then she proceeded to puke and everything. So again, stress, not because of actual disgust towards Deke or anything. Like he's a perfectly fine dude, but but no, then she proceeded to puke, and then cut to black and the shield logo and everything. So perfect cut and everything. So yeah, that reveal final episode. I think now moving forward, I think now we can kind of safely move forward knowing that like I think eventually the whole team, because I think Coulson and May were kind of like tricked into capturing capturing General Hale, but then Creel was on board already, and then Ivanov came back. That dude's back. He's got like a new LMD body now, so there's that. And yeah, I think he's kind of like I think just as much in charge, if not more, than General Hale. So I mean, he was a superior for the Watchdogs anyway. So I think it would match up. But then she is also thingamabobbly in cahoots. I think the mid credit scene that we had actually showed that she's in cahoots with some kind of possibly with the Kree. She's in cahoots with some higher kind of extraterrestrial beings, and actually promising them. I think promising them connection to the Earth or something, or actually kind of like being promised a seat at the table so long as she delivers on her and everything. And then even the other kind of person said hail Hydra, so then they know about Hydra and everything. So potentially promising them connection or access to the Earth in some way. So yeah, I think it's kind of I think that kind of stuff has kind of got me wondering too. Like I think because then like in terms of like the timeline that we've had leading up to the fall of the Earth and the destruction and all the yo-yo stuff in the future and everything, obviously like the thing that ticked them off once they got here was actually being reminded of what was his fucking name? That dude, was it Roxo? What was his fucking name? Okay, for some reason I did not write his name down at all, but I think the guy who killed Robin, like he was running stuff on the actual on the grounded Zephyr in the future Earth and everything, and the guy who killed Robin, I think for some reason Roscoe is the name that comes to mind. Roscoe or Rox or like Axel, I don't know, so something really funky like that. Something really funky. I think I don't know, like I don't know. I feel like he mentioned that what started it all was lights in the sky and stuff, like aliens and stuff, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. got involved, and then things went down. So then that's initially what actually kind of got them to go to do it. But then it's like like from there we've seen even that post credit but then we know that then that was a trap to like set up by Hale to attract them and to get them captured through the help of Piper and everything. And then of course the mid credit scene we had last time shows that Hale is actually potentially in direct contact with the Kree, so then maybe Hale actually plays that much more of like a key in making sure the actual kind of invasion stuff happens and all that kind of stuff. And then I think the way things are going, I think it's going to prove Daisy's actual innocence and her kind of like the actual ultimatum kind of type stuff that she might face in the lead up to Earth's destruction. More than ever, like, because I think again, like, that whole kind of story was actually kind of meant to show that, like, the people who believed that she was destroyed just clearly didn't know the whole picture and was going off what they saw and what they experienced. But then I think in the stuff leading up to, I think we're probably going to see Daisy's kind of innocence more and more. But then now with her powers unlocked, that's gonna really, make it much harder to actually fight what's coming and to fight the future and everything. So. Yeah, because I feel like the Rift and the Monolith stuff was pretty exclusive to Shield and the Lighthouse and all that kind of stuff. So then they fought so hard to make sure that it wouldn't affect the kind of surface level of the Earth and the rest of the planet, and it didn't. So then literally no one knows about it. So then it's not like something that people it's not something that people would know would need to be shut down or anything. So. Yeah, just different layers and different tidbits and everything. So, yeah, there was that. Then the team kind of now will eventually move forward, knowing that Deke is the grandson. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see. It's going to be much more interesting seeing that kind of like how that revelation affects the team moving forward, knowing that like that portion of the team actually has that much of a future where they get married, that they've gotten married, they have a kid, that they have a daughter, and then they go on. Then that daughter goes on to have a son and everything, and that son then travels back and everything. I mean, I wonder if that's like a closed loop type thing, like if that's always meant to happen anyway, because then he wouldn't travel back if not for the monolith. So then, I wonder if that's like a fixed point in time, like, because then, depending on depending on how long he sticks around and how many adventures he actually has with them as like a member of the team and everything, I wonder if he actually makes it to the end of the show, or if he actually kind of does. Actually kind of leave at some point. If he ends up if he ends up believing in the Shield story and in the Shield kind of legacy and legend himself, or if he ends up believing the Shield really isn't for him and he wants to explore the world that he didn't want to, because then he got very little time to actually explore it before he got arrested. So I wouldn't fully blame him if he didn't want to stick around and actually wanted to go out and live a life of his own or something. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I mean, it would be hard because then he has already been captured by the police, and then they found out that he actually literally has no kind of records or no history of his own because he hasn't been born yet. So I don't know. Either way, it's going to be fun to see, and everything. So that's going to be cool. But yeah, I think for the most part that is it. I think those are pretty much more like the major kind of aspects of the episode. And we had like smaller tidbits and everything, including Yo-Yo's arms. They were testing kind of Yo-Yo's arms and like the nerve sensitivity in her arms and how much work would need to be done to modify the arms for her suitability and everything. So that was a cool scene. So actually kind of getting her fitted and getting her tested and seeing what works and what doesn't. So that was a really cool thing. So I think hopefully everything moving down the line, maybe see some stuff happening would be nice. And just kind of seeing how she adapts and how she kind of what her process is and how they kind of show that and display that would be a really cool thing to see too. So yeah, either way, I think that is pretty much all there. Is that? I don't know. No, I think I thought it was something else. No, that's it. That's pretty much it. So yeah, on to episode 15 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 5. Let's go.
It's time for S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra to finally unite.
Against a common threat, against the Kree. Is that the plan here? I feel like I headcanoned that a while back. It feels like something I would headcanon. Did I headcanon that? I don't know, I can't tell. It feels like something I would headcanon. Hydra meets every Wednesdays at 4:30 p.m. Hydra, she goes to Hydra High School. She goes to Hydra High. There's a Hydra High. There's a Hydra High. 28 years ago there was a Hydra High. I can't fucking do math right now. Oh, that's a prison complex too. She's in a Hydra. Whoa, what the fuck? There's a Hydra High!
One more day. No, I heard that he wants to use alien DNA to actually reverse the body's aging process. Oh, shut up, Sitwell. You're just jealous.
Sitwell, this is Sitwell.
They've got you better trained than any of our mice.
You're jealous because I am going places.
This is Hydra High School. Fuck me.
As a reminder, please welcome Daniel Whitehall.
Whitehall, of course. Who else but Daniel Whitehall?
And though you may be behind the scenes, there are many ways that you can help Hydra dismantle the oppressive state.
Hydra is the oppressive state.
A man with the density of lead or the volatility of cesium, and the possibilities.
Is that Crusher? Is that Creel? Is that meant to be Creel?
Someone name another student?
Is that how he was created?
Mr. Von Strucker.
Von Strucker! Wait!
Finite
Baron
use.
Strucker!
Red Skull's Tesseract.
What the shit?
Greatest power source we've ever
Fucking
had.
Junior Strucker.
Instead, we should look to where the Tesseract came from to find new materials.
Meaning?
Outer space.
She's an insightful one.
Finally!
Oh, the way their smug grin's just dropped. You, fuck. Oh, you shit. I know they're Hydra, but, you know. Is she the only girl here, too? I feel like it's a stupid question, but is she the only girl here? Oh, going for him. Oh, going straight for Strucker. Going straight for Strucker. Oh. Oh, jeez. So this is like an actual boarding school then, because then the rooms are like dorms. This is like an actual kind of Hydra boarding. Hydra boarding school.
You screwed your chances of getting a good placement, genius.
Oh, she showed her real strength.
Miss Hale, Daniel Whitehall would like a word with you.
He's gonna congratulate her or something. Is that a dog tag? A dog
Well
collar?
done. We must eliminate any weakness.
Oh,
no
she
matter
killed
how
a dog!
I imagine it wasn't easy to sleep last night.
Just like Ward, they had to kill a dog, even though this happened way before. Probably, possibly, likely.
Leadership expected nothing. We're actually impressed by your strength.
They were impressed, yeah.
Metal.
Yeah, she
We
can
think
stand
you
up
will
for
be
herself.
Essential in engineering the perfect human specimen for the chamber.
Ah.
You want me to be...
Artificially inseminated.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, they want her to give... Oh, fuck.
You will give birth to our new leader. As I said, we see the future of Hydra in you.
Oh, God, that sentence.
As requested, you'll be placed deep undercover within the Air Force, perhaps.
Oh, Ruby. Oh, Ruby.
Once the seed has been
Oh.
perfected, we expect you'll serve the cause.
Oh, God, Hydra, you absolutely horrible fuckers. Goes without saying, but...
But is there an option where I utilize my talents elsewhere?
Oh, God, even given current events, too, that is... I hate this. I hate everything about this. Fuck Hydra. Fuck 'em. So that's how Ruby came to be born. They wanted the perfect leader, and they forced her to go through with that. And she has her own dog, and they haven't made her kill her. Yeah.
She doesn't look weak to me.
Is she still running a Hydra Academy, or is it different now?
Any idea?
Oh boy.
Whitehall is dead.
So 2 years ago, Whitehall died. So this is season 2 then.
We've got a problem.
Is this an Air Force matter?
SHIELD captured Gideon Malik.
Is he talking?
It's bad. We have to move fast.
That was a while after Whitehall's death. That was season 3.
We reached out. Someone answered.
You made contact with aliens.
It's an alliance of several races. They call themselves the Confederacy.
Well, why the
Oh,
hell wasn't I brought in on
Confederacy of
this?
different races.
General?
Talbot!
Me obeying you? That is weakness. You, with your blind faith, with this stupid tradition, that's weakness.
No! That's why when you cut off the head, 2 more spring up!
Oh, jeez. Well, that's 1 head down.
And now we're the last 2.
And 2 heads spring up. Poetry. Poetry right there. 6 months ago.
No! That's not a friggin' cat! That's not a cat!
Glenn, honey.
That's not a
honey,
cat.
everything's okay.
Aren't tigers technically cats? Like just wildlife cats?
I promise we'll take very good care of him.
So they're gonna change her. They're gonna change him then? Do they have that particle chamber thing up and running? Particle infusion chamber?
Stomach is so hungry, it's about to digest itself.
I get that feeling. I get that feeling. Ooh, Cap'n Crunch. Never had Cap'n Crunch, but... Cap'n Crunch. Oh. He's a captain kind of guy.
I still outrank you.
Really, Talbot? Trying to up the cereal box?
You answer me, or I'll rip those sorry little headphones from your sorry little...
Oh, yeah, she's gonna... Oh, yeah.
CrossFit Tinkerbell's your daughter? I've known you 20 years.
Oh, Talbot, you and your nicknames.
To travel to the stars and meet with them,
Or a teleport device?
face to face.
Oh.
They had struck a deal for protection.
From what?
The war coming to Earth.
Protection deal.
I was born into it. Just like you were born and raised and indoctrinated under the Stars and Stripes.
Indoctrinated? No, I wasn't.
Even after you saw Daisy Johnson shoot you in the head point blank.
That wasn't Daisy.
Oh, even Talbot.
I know you think I've lost my young.
Even Talbot
But I've got a
recognizes that.
feeling it was one of Anton Ivanov's tin cans. Am I wrong?
Even
No, you're right.
Glenn Talbot.
That wasn't LMD.
Yeah.
I would rather die on my 2 legs than slither on 8 with you.
Actually, squids don't have legs. They have tentacles. They're cephalopods.
Science with Ruby Hale.
I swear I will.
Marine biology with Ruby Hale.
Let's try this.
You just wait and see. Phil Coulson is coming for me.
Ugh.
Having me stumble out to an Econo Lodge continental breakfast, I give this ploy a C-. Hey, wait a minute.
Captain Crunch?
Saw berries.
Oh no. Oh,
Okay,
saw
C+.
berries. Oh. Okay. American cereals. I don't know
By the way,
all of them.
when Hale's done playing...
Latitude,
Space or on Earth?
altitude.
Altitude. Oh, in space. Altitude. Yeah, in
You need
space.
to elevate your vantage point.
Your world will soon become a battleground. We will ensure humanity's survival.
For a price?
Whoa! What is this? Damn, that's a big warship. I like it.
You ever consider they may not hold up their end of the bargain? That maybe something called the Confederacy will just enslave us all?
Confederacy sounds
Then
bold.
why
but-
cooperate with them? We need to fight back.
Finally, someone who gets it. Now you see why we have to stop fighting each other.
And work together. What's your plan?
You're familiar with Dr. Whitehall?
I buried him. Go team.
We've been searching for an old Whitehall program. She's not ready. I'm not sure she has the temperament.
Good becomes great. Bad becomes worse.
I'm wondering if your Daisy Johnson is a better fit.
Oh.
You've made her into quite the formidable soldier.
Made is not the term I would use.
Well, as far as her heart is concerned, she's powerful, she's intelligent, she's calculating.
Daisy in the chamber, an enhanced Daisy, an enhanced Quake.
Yes, she would have the power to level alien armies, blow their ships apart.
And
she would be
tear
worthy of
apart the
Whitehall's
Earth.
code name for the project. Destroyer of Worlds. Obviously.
Whitehall came up with that?
Something, but...
No, stop.
Oh,
Huge mistake. A broken planet-sized mistake. Listen, my team wasn't this month.
I thought you, of all people, could see the bigger picture. Clearly, you're just like the rest of them.
I listened to you, now listen to me, General.
I've heard enough.
General,
Let's
come
try
on.
this conversation again when you're feeling more reasonable.
You're making a huge mistake!
Hell no, come on, he's making points. He's making points.
Stay quiet. Stay quiet.
Oh, Talbot. Oh, Talbot. He's here. Coulson's here.
Phil,
He's here.
I told him you were coming. I tried to hold out. Sorry. Phil.
I'm sorry, Coulson. I'm sorry.
Talbot. Glenn. Oh.
Hale is Hydra. Hail Hydra. Seriously.
That's my girl. That's my girl. Yeah. Daisy, me and Daisy. Same wavelength. Same brainwaves.
I don't regret it. Just how it had to be done.
I'm asking you to embrace it.
Embrace the darkness.
Moment of truth.
Make the arms. Ooh, there's a shiny. Chromium almost. I don't know if chromium's the right word, but it reminds me of chromium.
I can't help when I'm locked up in this cell.
Oh god, that is the most sinister way you could possibly deliver that
Not
line.
a chance.
I suspected you were listening in.
No matter how sadistic.
Okay, well, would you have agreed to do it?
Never.
Well, then I didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice? You drugged me. You restrained me, and you cut into me.
I saluted the same flag as those people.
Yeah, but we don't turn on our own here.
Do you want me to recount all the times that you did?
Gosh.
It'll be different this time.
Good to know there's no distrust between Fitz and Daisy.
You want to bring Robin out of hiding and risk her getting hurt?
Robin, oh, because they're back in the present now. Robin, young Robin.
We have to get him back.
Yeah, well, so they can just reuse Robin just like that. They can just reuse Robin. Yeah, because she's the kid now. Damn, that's the end. I did not. Okay.
This one's yours.
What? It's 2?
The other tool belongs to Deke.
Oh, this is that reveal. Oh, he finds out. He finds
got it
out.
from his grandfather.
Hey! You're a grandpappy. You're a granddaddy. Yeah. One day you're gonna become a daddy, and then you're gonna become a granddaddy.
He's the worst.
I think he's perfect. Plus, his very existence proves that you and I make it to the lighthouse. Do you see what this means?
Yeah, I do. It means that our daughter's obviously going to marry some belligerent space dude. She's going to give birth to a Deke.
No, Fitz.
To a Deke. I love the way he said that. I love the way he said that. To a Deke. Yeah, not even Deke, just like to a Deke. A Deke, and even with his accent. Oh god, it makes it so much better. Yeah. To a Deke, a dick. Oh gosh. That reveal was amazing. So yeah, that ending alone, the Deke reveal, the Deke grandson reveal to Fitz. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I mean, it went pretty much like almost exactly how I expected it. Almost how I expected it to go. I mean, I didn't fully expect that Fitz would actually immediately divulge into roasting Deke and the other half of his parentage too. But he did. His immediate reaction be like, "Oh my god, he's the worst. How can he be your grandson?" That stuff was great. That was great. But yeah, so then the reveal then happened to Fitz as well. So now both the grandparents know exactly who their future spawn is. So that's cool. So I think eventually the rest of the team will find out. I'm really curious then to find out their reaction to it. I'm really curious to know exactly how Daisy is going to react to it, and then May, and then Coulson eventually when he gets back and everything. So yeah, but that thing. So yeah, I think I actually went back and looked too, and he did have the number 17, which I think because I didn't want to because he said it was actually after his accident. And I think the accident he's referring to is actually his the actual underwater stuff from back in season 1, and then when he came back, he said he couldn't remember the names, so then he actually wrote down, he engraved a number into the tool instead. And I think from looking back, I think the number did look on both of them, on the clean one and the kind of more kind of rusty one, which I think is like a nice detail too, like the one from the future that's been used more and held more and stuff is actually rustier and everything. So on both of them is the number 17. So don't know if that actually bears any significance, or if that's just like a random number. Because because then the fact that he chose, because then he chose a number, but he chose a number because he couldn't remember the name. But then I think but then you'd question would he actually choose like a specific number, or would it only be 2 numbers, or like a set of numbers, or would it be something else? Or but then he chose 17. So really don't know if I should be reaching for some kind of theory right now, or just kind of leaving it as it is. But don't know. It feels like it could be significant, but so far the only significance is that the tool that he held that he recognizes his was his from the future, held and used by his grandson. So then that gets passed down through the generation, and then that kind of is that. So I think that's nice to think about too. So then the shield thing that gets passed down is the monolith, if you think about it, because then the mother believed in shield and kept the monolith with her, and then when she died, Owen the father, he kept the monolith because he believed in shield. So then the shield kind of memorabilia that gets passed down is the monolith, because that's connected to the prophecy about the shield team and everything. But then the actual more familial kind of heirloom almost that gets passed down is actually the grandfather's actual kind of pocket knife tool type thing. So that's actually like a really nice thing to think about. The shield thing that gets passed down because of the prophecy is actually more important on like a more public and visual scale, because then that's the monolith. But then the closer, more kind of personal, kind of heartfelt item is actually the tool. So it's nice to think about. So yeah, so I don't know if the number is going to bear any significance in the future, or if we should just kind of let it go and just let it be the number that it is. But either way, yeah, that whole mid-credit scene was a very, very nice touch, and a very, very nice kind of closing kind of touch to the story at large. So yeah, it was great. It was pretty great. So yeah, and I think I do love like that kind of striking kind of similarity in their reactions too. Like you know, like Fitz's reaction is like more of like a verbal disgust and a verbal kind of, you know, kind of visceral reaction, whereas Simmons' one is very much like a physical reaction of disgust. Like with her, I think the overload of information and the stress of the day kind of results in her literally puking like seconds after hearing that news. But with Fitz, he actively is just kind of repulsed, like near like borderline repulsed at like actually kind of hearing that news and everything. So yeah, so very interesting reactions from both grandparents. I think I'm definitely kind of then curious as to how Fitz and Simmons are going to, because we didn't see him at all this episode. No Deke. I just realized that too. Like the only Deke material we get in this episode is the reveal happening from Simmons to Fitz. No actual visual kind of Deke kind of content. No Deke content. I don't know if he's still kind of reeling in from everything that happened. I think it's probably most likely. But yeah, I think then the like vast majority of the episode did kind of focus on the Hale and the Hydra stuff and everything. So and then I think the kind of latter half did kind of shift towards the shield stuff. So I think it was kind of like very kind of somewhat fairly paced in that regard too. So yeah, I think you know, Deke, just kind of give him time to settle from his stuff, because then he's, you know, he's arguably gonna go through just as much too. And I think if it's his personal choice to actually rest and take a day and take a day and just kind of sleep in or something, then hey, he deserves it. He fully has that right. So yeah, the rest of them have their own jobs to do, and then they don't want to have to worry about him being out there and doing stuff and everything. So if he decides to take a day and sleep in, then you know what, all the more power to him. The power of a nap and sleeping in can never be underestimated. So yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, but yeah, damn, that opening, like the opening kind of, I'd say, well, I think the opening did still include like 5 or so minutes of like Coulson being at like Hydra and all that kind of stuff. But everything after that, I think like 10 minutes in onwards, like Hydra Academy, Hydra High, whatever the fuck you want to call it. If you gave me like 10 guesses of what kind of stuff if you gave me 5 guesses as to what kind of storyline or like what kind of little kind of shtick that like Shield would pull off, the Agency Shield would pull off, for like even for an episode, that is not something I ever would have guessed. Hydra High, Hydra Academy, a Hydra boarding school of all things, a Hydra High kind of whatever, you know. That is not something I ever would have guessed. That just blew my mind. And I think off the bat too, it reminds me of what the Hitler Youth stuff used to be like. I mean, obviously, like that stuff. I think that stuff definitely wasn't like actual. I mean, I don't think that stuff was actual kind of educational schooling, right? I think that because that stuff was indoctrination. Because the point of Hitler Youth was to literally indoctrinate like boys and girls into specific kind of roles in society according to kind of Nazi kind of values and all that kind of stuff. Like it was, I think it was never meant to be like an actual kind of school thing. I don't think, but. You know, because I don't know. I think it was pretty much like what the program itself was called. But I don't know. I mean, for all, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I can't remember like too many details about it. But like besides from the actual kind of indoctrination and stuff about like forcing boys and girls into like into very specific into like very kind of very what's the fucking word? Like very specific gender roles and like you know, patriarchal roles and like very like those kinds of like societal roles and everything. Like, you know, like boys are fit to go to war and fight and, you know, do all the manly stuff, and then girls are, you know, meant to be mothers and housewives and all that kind of shit. So I think, you know, I think in real life, in that time period, I think that's pretty much like that's what comes to mind, like the Hitler Youth of, like, you know, I think, because then I think even then I think I don't know if they still sent girls to school. I think they just kind of like, because then I think they still kind of taught girls and enforced girls to be in those roles. I think I don't know if they actually kind of sent girls to school to study up on how to do that kind of stuff. So I don't know, but either way, like the Hydra kind of like it reminds me of what that kind of program was and what it was meant to be. But this one, I think with this one too, I think so yeah, I think 28 years ago. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that would have been like 80s or 90s, right? I think yeah, I think if she's like if she was a teenager in those days, then like 28 years ago, I think like 80s or 90s or something. Yeah, like I think early 80s maybe. Then that would probably mean that, you know, she definitely kind of would reach this age. Now in the present day, I think, trusting that this then takes place in like 2018-ish, 19-ish. So I don't know. I guess so. Yeah. Either way, but yeah, I think so. Then she as a teenager went to Hydra school. And I think it did kind of surprise me, because I think I do vaguely remember her talking about how as a kid, I think she. Or wait, no, that was about Ruby. I was thinking about like how like there's a story about like the daughter that would actually go to Strucker's house and be in the background while their parents talked stuff. So then yeah, so that was with Ruby, and then the parents like Hale and Strucker were talking. And then we even had fucking Junior von Strucker looking like the perfect kind of Aryan specimen there too. Like I don't know if he had blue eyes, but I think he had like the whole blonde side parting going on, and he just had the smuggest little shit-faced grin, just like all the live long day and everything. So I mean, again, you know, I think again, not rooting for Hydra, but you know, it was pretty fucking satisfying watching her outsmart him, and actually watching her kind of deliver that kind of final kind of side-class beating in the gym and everything, and actually kind of making her stand and everything. But then, and again, I think so then even that then did catch Whitehall's eye and everything, just not in the most kind of, you know, appealing of ways and everything. So yeah, and that Daniel Whitehall was here too. He was like a guest lecturer. He was a guest lecturer and everything. I think that's who she was referring to. That's who she was referring to as well. Because I think she mentioned that I think I think Jasper Sitwell, he was there too. So yeah, so again, like different cameos, like teenage Jasper Sitwell too, and then he ended up on Shield placement too. So then he was actually, so as a teenager he infiltrated Shield. Shield. That is actually fucking crazy to think about. That is so crazy to think about. So yeah, so Sitwell was there, and then we know, you know, obviously Winter Soldier and everything. So yeah, so that happened. So yeah, I think so Sitwell was there. I think White was there. And she mentioned that I think she made like a passing mention about how the guest speaker used alien DNA to actually like to decrease his aging or to reverse his aging or anything. So we know that I think he did manage to reverse it. He managed to reverse it, but then also freeze it too, because then he did still look as young as he did after the operation. Then he stole Jiaying's ability to actually not age after a certain point. And everything. So then he actually reversed his age back to what he was. But then from that point onwards, he also ceased to age from then onwards, because then that was still set years in the past and everything. So yeah, so I think he was a guest speaker, and he kind of talked about like, you know, like them building the perfect super soldier and then the chamber and everything. So I think the particle infusion chamber is meant to infuse particles and make them like all the more kind of stronger yet denser and lighter and all that kind of stuff. So there was that. So yeah, just Hydra High School. Like they had fucking uniforms and things, and she now uses that school, that same school, as her new base, as the new base for Hydra too. So then there were like Hydra posters on the walls and logo paints. There were fucking uniforms, and it was I think given that they did all sleep in those kind of prison cellish kind of dorms too. I think it definitely kind of had to be some kind of like a boarding school or something. So yeah, I think so. That I mean, you know what? It kind of levels the playing field. If you think about it, it does level the playing field, because you do have a Shield Academy. You do have a Shield Academy which acts in essentially the same way. So you have Shield Academy, and then you have Hydra High. So I mean, I don't even know what it's actually fucking called. I don't know if it's called Hydra. I don't know if it's called Hydra Youth. Maybe they've remodeled Hitler Youth into Hydra Youth or something. Yeah, no, but they had a Hydra High. I think don't even know if it was meant to be like an actual high school or like a college or anything, because then they do their stuff, they study, and then they study the Hydra way, and then they do the final test. The final test is eliminating weakness. They have to kill a fucking dog. They have to kill. I mean, based on the fact that they had her do it and they had Ruby do it too. You know, I feel like, I think even Garrett did that same thing to Hydra. Even Garrett actually adopted that technique and used it for Hydra and used it for Ward too. You know, it feels like maybe that's actually just the way they do it too. Like maybe that is the legitimate final test, because then the description of the final test is just so vague. Like eliminate weakness, it could be like that could mean almost anything. But then even then it's like, you know, oh, you have to eliminate like a weakness that makes you sentimental and makes you emotional. Like you have to eliminate like an emotional attachment you have. That could still mean almost anything. But no, then they give you dog. I think it reminds me of the thing from Kingsman. I think in Kingsman, I think they gave the candidates dogs and actually made them, but gave them a gun with blanks to then tested their loyalty. With that one, it was just like it was actually just like a loyalty test and like a way to test like how far they were willing to go and everything. So if they actually did shoot the gun, then it would mean that they were willing to go that far and actually remove kind of weakness and remove. I mean, I can't remember exactly what the point of that test was. I think if it was actually kind of being willing to take a life or being willing to sacrifice for the greater good or something. But reminds me of Kingsman. But I think in that one, that wasn't meant to be nearly as kind of oppressive or fascist or anything like that. But with this one thing, yeah, with this one, it's eliminating weakness, eliminating emotional attachment. So then, I can't help but then wonder if like they actively do. I think, because then given how Hydra is and how sadistic they're known to be, I think it would definitely make sense for them to actually actively give them the weakness in the first place. Give them the dog, be like, oh, this is your companion, you know, you order it around. But then they probably do like, you know, you order like, this is your companion for life, and you're meant to bond with it and train it and order it around and make it your weapon for life. And then afterwards it's like, okay, so you've bonded and you've formed like some sentimental kind of connection with this animal, then good, now kill it and everything. So yeah, and no blanks in that gun, no blanks in that. If you kill that dog, it's gone for good. So yeah, I think I didn't even, because then I didn't immediately clock it when it showed the empty little pillow with the ball and the dog collar on it. You know, so then I didn't immediately clock it then, but then it's like I can't even remember seeing like a dog in the opening either. I can't directly remember seeing a dog in the opening. It's like I couldn't tell exactly what that was meant to mean. So I was like, oh, so there's a ball on a pillow. That's, you know, that's that. And then there's also like what looks like a dog collar too. And then I thought that might mean something darker or something. But then, and it did. But yeah, and then afterwards it was like, but then once it came to the final testing and she handed him the dog collar and he was like eliminating weakness, I was like, oh shit, that's exactly what Ward did for Garrett and everything. So that's the final test, actually eliminating weakness and showing that you're loyal to Hydra and you're kind of complicit and you're stone cold exactly the way they like you and everything. So just fuck, yeah. So yeah, that was fuck, yeah. And I also can't help but wonder if the particle infusion chamber, like, given what he described and what it was meant to do, because then I also can't exactly remember if Creel's origins or how Creel got his powers, or like if that stuff was explained way back in season 2. Because then when Creel came in, he was just like the new kind of potential big bad that then kind of became subservient to Hydra and everything. But then can't remember if that, and I think they did kind of describe what his powers were, that he could actually kind of absorb any material and actually transform his whole body into that and everything. So they described that, but I think I'm not entirely sure if they actually can describe where his powers came from, like if he was born with it or if it actually was the result of some kind of freak experiment or whatever. So I think I think then the particle thing, the chamber hadn't actually been in. I think the chamber hadn't been designed yet. So I think they then. No, at least I don't think so. So then I think they probably then needed someone to actually kind of like come up with the right specimen or come up with the right way to do things and the right direction to move forward in before they built it and everything. So probably not. So I don't know. Just a theory I had in the moment, but probably not related at all. So yeah. And yeah, like thinking of the Hydra High School a bit more too, it's like it kind of does make me wonder. I think it kind of links into what present day Hale said to Coulson or and stuff. But I think to Coulson, or was it Coulson or Talbot? I think I don't know. She mentioned something in the present day. I think it might kind of tie into that too. But then it did kind of make me wonder, like Hydra High School. So like, how would you go about getting she's in? Because then, I mean, Hale did mention she was born into it. So then maybe her parents were also Hydra kind of connections and Hydra affiliates and everything. So then maybe they kind of, you know, she was literally born into it. So then she had no choice but to go to Hydra High School. But then it's like, you know, other than that, like if any students got in through it otherwise. If any students got into Hydra otherwise, like how would you even convince them to join or convince them to actually kind of be a part of something like that? Because then, you know, like throughout World War II, Hydra had like a nasty history. So then, how do you how do you even manage to actually rebuild anything remotely appealing or attractive from that? Like how do you actually kind of convince? Because then I think that and maybe other factors kind of is kind of pretty convincing of the fact that like only people born into Hydra, or only kind of because then, you know, like people survive, because then Zola survived from Hydra, but then there had to also be people who worked with or for Hydra who weren't directly on base, like on the base that was destroyed, or even actually kind of in the field or anything, like people who could have worked behind the shadows or behind the curtains, or people who worked in offices or something in Germany or around the world or something. So then people who still happened to survive, who weren't fighting on the front lines or who worked in other positions too. So then they survived, and then they scattered as a result of it. So then Zola was the one who survived, but then got recruited into Shield to do his thing. So then there could have been others who just kind of survived and then still kind of managed to kind of, you know, advance their bloodline, and then still kind of like in their own way managed to make sure that Hydra's kind of future continued, and then their kids would actually kind of either join Hydra or kind of, you know, create kids who would end up joining Hydra. So there's that. So again, Hydra. I think they seem very exclusive and very like just like non-diverse too. I think Hydra kind of does kind of seem self-aware enough to know that like very specific people of very specific mindsets would also need to be kind of able to operate under their rules and under their laws and everything. So yeah, I think and Strucker being Strucker, even from a young age, him being so kind of self-obsessed and entitled, and you know just so full of himself, and under that mindset too, that he's better and brighter than all of them. Makes sense that he would join up and he'd try and be the best of the best and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just like, and I think there's even propaganda stuff on the walls too, like Enlist Now posters and Hydra kind of logos and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, again, Hydra. I think Hydra, like if publicized, Hydra would not. I feel like Hydra would generally just not be like a truly like appealing or attractive kind of educational system to be a part of or anything. So makes sense if you're born into it, then like that's pretty much the only way you can really kind of get into it. And then of course if others kind of survive from post-war stuff, then it would be a possibility. And it also made me wonder, like in season 2, how the hell Hydra managed to have offices in like in like the city center. Like Hydra had like a full-on. I mean, unless it was disguised as something else from the outside, and then on the inside it was only kind of people who believed in Hydra or people who were coaxed into it or something. Because then, you know, like in season 2, when we see that when we see that Simmons is undercover at Hydra, like we see that she's actively in like the city center, and she's traveling through public and in like a very public area, and then she goes into a building, but then you don't see the Hydra logo until you're actually on the inside. Like that's on the inside of the wall. So then, don't know, like Hydra has no good rep in the actual lore of this world. So don't know like how, like I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's like the point. I mean, I guess I mean, again, I think maybe that's the point. That like maybe is this kind of added touch of realism that like that kind of power can still kind of hold some value and can still get kind of support from behind the shadows. But then also the fact that stuff, I think, well, no, that stuff took place after Winter Soldier. That took place long after Winter Soldier. So then kind of does then make you question like exactly how many people were still in power, maybe in connection to Whitehall, to be able to facilitate and authorize that kind of like a construction and that kind of a takeover and that kind of a thing. But I don't know, either way, because I mean the Hydra High School, you know, like this stuff taking place long before Winter Soldier, like makes so much more sense, and everything like this would be more secretive, and even maybe Zola himself would actually authorize some kind of educational system being kind of being funded and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know, but then Hale did mention something in the present. She said that, like, you know, she I think she might have mentioned it to Talbot. I think she said, like, you know, there was a time when she felt out of control and needed to find a new purpose. I think maybe then that's how she found Hydra. Because then I think Hydra, you know, like them being them, and I think especially like I think them kind of like their way of adapting to the modern day too, and especially adapting after their huge loss after World War II as well. I think they'd probably need to like convince anyone that, you know, like they kind of were here to help, and they were like you know, like maybe not reveal their evil doings from the get-go, and like if anyone who was anyone who didn't know better maybe might have felt curious, then maybe Hydra would need to convince them, like, we're maybe being like, oh, we're not run by the old management anymore, like, we're like a new system, a new group, a new organization, we're trying to better the world and trying to find new ways to build a better world and do all this kind of stuff, but deep down still the same oppressive and fascist, and especially since, like, Whitehall was still like an OG Hydra kind of member as well, so he lived, like, he continued to live for years after all, like, longer than he should have, arguably longer than he should have, so... Yeah, for the longest time, Hydra has just kind of been the same old kind of like oppressive, kind of fascist kind of organization, and faced the same old oppressive and fascist organization that's just kind of had like a new face each time, trying to do like almost the same thing and everything. So yeah, it's been crazy. It's just crazy. So yeah, Hydra Academy. So yeah, and yeah, speaking of like all the, really. The indoctrination, all the beliefs of the Hitler Youth, and just like the Nazi kind of vision of the world and society and roles in general. Yeah, Hale's reward. Hale's fucking reward. Reward with the heaviest of quotation marks. The heaviest of these little bunny ears, you see. Oh gosh, yeah. So yeah. I mean, I genuinely figure like her making a stand, her her. Because then I think they did. I think at least in the present day with Coulson, I think they did kind of mention that the particle chamber was essentially Hydra's attempt at actually kind of building a super soldier in comparison to Steve Rogers, and that the super soldier formula kind of worked in that way that good becomes great, bad becomes worse, and then mind and body in unison matter equally. So there's that stuff. So then their plan was technically speaking, their plan was to use Hale's body to create the perfect super soldier of Hydra, but just in one of the most fucked up ways possible. So they wanted so their idea was artificial insemination, so actually kind of forcing her to get pregnant and to have a baby, and then to in Whitehall's words, to birth the future of Hydra. So they solely wanted to use her body and her bodily capabilities to actually to birth the future of Hydra. And I think that whole premise is just beyond fucked up. It's beyond fucked up. Just everything about that scene, everything about that. I think the dialogue and the whole premise of that scene, the execution of that scene, is just so scarily realistic, and it's and especially with current world events, especially over in the US kind of going on right now, it's just absolutely haunting, abso-fucking-lutely haunting, and just I think not to say that Hale's present day attitudes aren't enlightening, but then it's it does definitely I think at least for me right now it does definitely kind of make Hale that much more of a sympathizable character. With her, she wanted to join up for something that she kind of believed in. I think similar enough. I think maybe similar enough to Wanda and Pietro signing up with Hydra over in Sokovia, because then they thought they'd be signing up for something worth fighting for, and then they were indoctrinated into actually believing that the cause they were fighting for is the same as the one in their hearts, and for freedom and all that kind of stuff. So it's similar-ish, I think, maybe to that. I think Hale, again, she wanted to find a purpose. She wanted to actually do some good, and then I think again she was born into it too. So then she had no choice. But then to actually kind of come to a conclusion like that too, that's just. Gosh, I think she fights for years, and then in the end, all Hydra wants is her body. So again, Hitler Youth stuff, just believing that women who can get pregnant as well are just nothing more than their bodies, and even looking at Hale and seeing her making a stand for herself, and then still believing that that just means that she can actually give birth to a child that has the same properties and then the same qualities and all that kind of stuff. Just. To find out that's where Ruby came from too. To find out Ruby came from Hydra's kind of enforcement of Hale having a child for their needs, for their desires, and for their visions and everything. Just it goes without saying, fuck Hydra. But I think this is the best reminder that Hydra is a Nazi organization. It started as a Nazi organization, and I think despite what Hale is doing in the present day too, I think at heart it will always be like it will always have its Nazi roots. It will always have its roots of oppression and control and all that kind of stuff. You know, there's a reason Hydra, like the Hydra world and the framework was so scary and so, you know, like so paralleled and so comparable to like real world politics and real world kind of scenarios and everything. And it's because like Hydra is based off. Hydra is like a fictional kind of envisionment of the Nazis, and the Nazis were very much a real life kind of threat and everything. And in certain ways they still are to this day. So it's just, gosh, I think that is just like that's such a scarily haunting kind of scene too. I think even like if the world today wasn't what it was, I feel like even deep down, because I think given the kind of history that we have too, I think it's already haunting enough. But then I think again, like I think watching it in this day and age too, knowing what's going on out in the world, and again especially in the US too, it's just that much. It just makes it that much more kind of disheartening and that much more shocking to watch. Like that's the conclusion they came to. That's what they made her go through, and everything. You know, like you're like no. I think there's no address. I think that there's even like I think her reaction says it all too. I think her reaction says it all too. Like the fact that this isn't really what she wants to do. This isn't like what she hoped for. This isn't what she fought for, or actually kind of followed Hydra's ideals or beliefs or orders for or anything. But then it's like, you know, like there's no addressing whether or not that's actually what she wants in general. Like if she actually wants to bring a child into the world, if she wants to bring a child into Hydra, if she wants to become a mother like that, or like a mother in in any shape or form. But it's just like no, that is Hydra's desire, that's Hydra's rule, that's Hydra's orders. Hydra's orders. She has a child, like she actually brings forth into the world a child that they can then weaponize and everything. So yeah, just gosh, just yeah, I think and I think that's just got I think that's definitely something that this show in its run thus far has actually done fairly well too, actually using kind of real world politics and real world scenarios and real world kind of you know kind of topics and events and everything to actually kind of inspire the way they execute things in like sometimes in oftentimes scary ways and everything. So yeah, just wow. But then yeah, I think then I think when Ruby was born, I think when Ruby I think because I think the time jumps were kind of iffy to actually kind of to keep up with too. I think it was actually 2 years ago. I think it might have been the 2 years ago thing. Because then I think it was 2 years ago. Then they actually announced that Whitehall was dead, and then like a few scenes later after that, before the next time jump, then they said that Gideon Malik had actually been captured by Shield too. So I think it was in that time that I think the high school thing was still kind of going on. So then Ruby was in uniform too, and the actual Hydra High thing was going on. But then I think it came to final test, and then she found out what it was, but then she couldn't go through with it, and she kind of refused to go through with it with Steger or whatever his name is, and then that dude kind of just kept parroting and ranting about like the beliefs in the Hydra and ideals of Hydra and all that kind of crap, and then Hale did everyone the favor of actually shooting his ass the fuck down. So yeah, so I think from that point onwards, I think the whole like the dilemma in that particular time period in general was actually like the fall of Hydra and all that kind of stuff. And then also like the high school itself was dismantled too. The high school was dismantled. The kids were all sent elsewhere, and everything else broke down. So then after that, Hale constructed her own. She literally constructed her own Hydra. So see, I think his name was Colonel Fisher, or General Fisher from the Air Force base. And I think he was Hydra too. He was definitely kind of in Hydra cahoots with Hale. And he talked about how I think after New York, they found a transceiver from like a Chitauri carrier, like a Chitauri ship that had crashed in the ocean or something, and then they found a transceiver from that, and that was the beginning of Earth's contact with the Confederacy. So the Confederacy, I think Confederacy does kind of imply like an actual like a coalition or like a congregation or like a communion, just using big words with C. Communion of like different alien races and everything. So then the Confederacy is like an actual kind of like a communion of multiple different alien races. So I think that's when they first kind of made contact with them and everything. So was that, and then I think from then on they actually ensured a protection deal. So then the Confederacy would protect Earth in return. I think probably in return for the resources too, because I think Coulson kind of concluded that they wanted gravitonium, and then they also wanted Inhumans too. They wanted Inhumans / alien warriors and everything. So there was that. So I think yes. Then so yeah, that was that. And yeah, like that vision that I think his name was Carvos or something. I think the subtitle said like Carvos or something along those lines. So I think he showed Coulson the vision of what was coming, and it was like that one kind of really well constructed CG visual of the warship coming to Earth. Not gonna lie, with like how closely this can and could tie in to Infinity War. I mean, he did say alien I'm pretty sure he did say alien warships. I'm pretty sure Coulson did say alien warships, but then the one they showed was like one of S.H.I.E.L.D's kind of own envisionment too. But then imagine how cool it would be if the warship they showed was Thanos' warship, because then that one doesn't that one is too kind of sectiony, and that one is way too different to be Thanos' one. I think we know exactly what Thanos' one looked like with the actual kind of horizontal layout and the rocky base and everything. So yeah, but imagine how cool it would have been. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure he pluralized warships in that sentence. But again, imagine how cool it would be if the one they showed us was actually Thanos' one, because then he said a war is coming. I think Carvos did say a war is coming and we can protect you, but this is what needs to happen and everything. So then, you know, if he says a war is coming, I think he said like the Earth will turn into a battleground. That is pretty much laying the foundations for Infinity War. That is pretty much laying the foundations for Infinity War, because then that is near enough exactly what happens. Like Earth turns into a battleground, but then also Titan, because then that's where Team Iron Man and the Guardians and everyone goes for Infinity War. But then Earth, like New York very briefly, and Scotland ever so briefly too, with their Vision and Wanda. But then Wakanda becomes the even bigger, more kind of lengthy kind of battleground with Team Cap and everyone else actually teaming up with Black Panther and everything to fight that half of the team and everything, or like just like the Black Order kind of and everything. So yeah, I think Earth becomes a battleground and there's a war coming, and then they strike a protection deal. So then, you know, I mean, clearly it doesn't go through, because then Infinity War, as we see, happens and shit goes down and bada bing, bada boom. But no, yeah. So that's the deal. So then I think he then concluded that the deal kind of on their end kind of was them promising them gravitonium and Inhumans and all that kind of stuff. And I think then Hale mentioned Inhumans and everything. So yeah, and I think she even mentioned that like Whitehall's kind of project name for like the particle infusion chamber to actually create this new warrior was literally called the Destroyer of Worlds. So then that name isn't just what humanity is, not just what the surviving humans in the future call Daisy because of what she does, but that's literally what Whitehall wanted to create. He wanted to create someone capable of destroying the world, who would then go on to fight a war to be Hydra's greatest weapon in a war against all of those who oppose them and everything. So the Destroyer of Worlds, like any worlds or any kind of regimes or kind of empires that oppose Hydra, would be wiped out by the Destroyer of Worlds. And then that's that. So yeah, that is even more chilling to think about. Like, to begin with, you think it's just like humanity being really, really kind of spiteful and really petty and really kind of angry towards Daisy for what they think that she did, based off footage and rumors and everything. But then it's beyond that. It literally originates with Whitehall's kind of envisionment of the perfect kind of Hydra warriors. I think we can never let Daisy find that out. If Daisy found out about that, I think she'd be pissed. But then it will also inside, it would probably break her heart knowing that on the one hand it's what humanity calls her, but then its deeper roots actually get traced back to Hydra's days and everything. So then her powers amplified with gravitonium then make her kind of Hydra's greatest kind of weapon that they never get to meet, and then she ends up destroying the world and all that kind of stuff. So it's just wow. So of course, if you need any more reason to hate Daniel Whitehall, then there it is. So yeah. And yeah, like this new, so then Hale, I think, yeah, like her new regime, her new idea for Hydra is that, like, she believes that a war may well be coming. I think maybe the war is coming, but then they can fight it. But then also the Confederacy is also one he's fighting, because then the Confederacy is like a communion of alien warlords, kind of stronger than them, that can overpower them. But then somehow they've managed to could come to a deal and everything. So then I think then Coulson and her end up having the same suspicions that they won't exactly hold up, that they might not exactly hold up there in the deals. And then her contingency is literally double crossing the Confederacy. So then yes, and that's why then she then wants Hydra, like this new Hydra and for Shield to team up. So then like all of her talk about like let me show all of her talk before about let me show you what we're up against. I initially kind of internally took that to be like, oh, it's just gonna be some kind of trick to show him exactly what he's up against and what he's up against, because then Hydra and the Confederacy are in cahoots, and that's what Shield's up against. But no, now she actively wants Hydra and Shield to actually kind of fight in unity against this kind of new comment that's come through. So, and I think given her past, I feel like given her past and her kind of her past experiences and her history with Hydra too, I would not fully push aside or even fully blame her for wanting to remake Hydra with her own beliefs and with her own thing, because then she still calls it Hydra. I think maybe because like for her, she wants it to just be a name that can have any kind of idea behind it, even if like so far it's had decades and I mean even centuries with all the Inhuman stuff, with all the Inhuman history that Gideon kind of revealed. I think and I think even then, I think her belief, like I think her idea of actually using the Tesseract too, because then that lines up directly with what Gideon and Red Skull believe too, like the fact that like Hydra's kind of true source of power comes from beyond the stars, like Hydra's kind of source of power and Hydra's kind of true rise to power can't be found on Earth. It has to come from beyond the stars and everything. So even Hale's kind of idea in that classroom being like, we need to find out exactly where the Tesseract came from, because then we can find other elements and other kind of relics just like it with great power and power that can't be found on Earth. So there's all that. So again, I think Hydra's kind of Hydra has a linkage to Nazi stuff and everything, but because then I think Hydra could definitely be used by the Nazis to actually enhance their own power by finding something that they believe is superior and everything. So there's all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think I think at this point deep down, I think her history with Hydra kind of is shown to be something shady and something far more kind of even quite possibly kind of traumatic as well. So then maybe she actually does just want to use the name to instill and build up something new, and maybe she actually does want to just because then she wanted to capture Shield. She never wanted to actually kill them. She never wanted to kill them or attack them. Like actually chopping off Yo-Yo's arms was Ruby's idea, because Ruby is kind of desperate to prove herself, and she's kind of reckless and impulsive and all that kind of stuff. So then that I think that's even her kind of that's even Hale's kind of literal kind of thingy, kind of like her evaluation of Ruby too, the fact that she's powerful and she's capable, but then she's also impulsive and takes matters into her own hands, and she just doesn't really follow orders very well or anything. So then she doesn't believe she's even though she does want Ruby to be the one to go in there so that she can actually kind of make her what she needs to be, she doesn't believe she's ready for it. So then Hale's idea is to actually have Daisy Johnson go through it and to actually give her the powers. So then that way she can actually wipe out the whatever alien armies come in the war, and then if the Confederacy does decide to drop across them first, then maybe Ruby can actually then Daisy can actually wipe them out too. So she wants actual unity. I think I mean whether or not that's long term or short term unity between Hydra and Shield, because then so far the only reason she wants Hydra and Shield to be unified is because of this new common threat. And I think assuming that their plan goes to work and then they defeat it quickly, that doesn't really kind of guarantee whatever comes after. So then I think doesn't necessarily kind of guarantee that she wants that unity to actually to last. I think because then the whole kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So then if the Confederacy really does double cross Hydra, or even vice versa, then Hydra can easily become enemies with the Confederacy. So that would mean that like an allegiance is also then very much possible. So I don't know. It raises questions. So I'm not too sure. So yeah, but yeah, I think then her kind of willingness to actually kind of be able to double cross the Confederacy if necessary, and also kind of actually team up with Coulson in order to do that too, raises questions. So yeah, but I mean, thinking about it, it kind of would be interesting to see if there is anyone in Hydra's leadership history, like at least one person in Hydra's leadership history, to try and make Hydra like something maybe more of like a neutral organization too, maybe not something so specifically kind of Nazi or oppressive or anything like that. So then, and of course again, Hale with her experience and her kind of past traumas and her history with the original Hydra 2, maybe then she actually doesn't want it to be anything like that. She wants it to be, she doesn't just want to control people, like she actually does maybe legitimately want them to be the best version of themselves and to actually kind of be as powerful as they need to be to help stop threats. So then maybe like a Hydra in comparison with Shield, but then it's like that's already Shield. That's already running Shield. So then, you know, like I don't know. So then it's gonna be curious to see exactly how long like this Hydra does last in the lead up to whatever big war is coming, and then also after the conflict is over and after everything's been, you know, solved, and after the resolution of everything. It's gonna be interesting to see exactly where Hale goes from there and where Hydra goes from there and everything. So there's that. And also, yeah, again want to say love to my girl Daisy Johnson, just for also being on the same wavelength and actually kind of realizing the whole kind of Hale is Hydra, Hydra, and be like, oh come on, seriously, really, that on the nose, really. So yeah, again, same wavelengths and everything. So yeah, it's it's great, But I mean, it is kind of interesting to see exactly where like the parts from their placements led. Like, you know, like Sitwell infiltrating Shield kind of allowed him to get to the ranks where he was and to get to the position where he was and do all the stuff he did and help Pierce and actually act under Pierce. I'm surprised. Almost, I mean, Pierce is kind of significant. Pierce is significantly kind of older in the Winter Soldier. Anyway, so I don't know, but I think it's surprising. I don't know if we actually did see Pierce, but he wasn't mentioned. Like, I mean, there were a bunch of, you know, white boys with blonde hair there. So, or like just saying any one of them could have been Pierce. He could have easily he could have easily attended the school too, and then he just couldn't, or he wasn't mentioned or anything. But you know, there is that possibility. But yeah, no, it's interesting to see how exactly how well their placements match up with where they are in the future too. Because then even Strucker, I think he's Whitehall said that Strucker was actually put on the chamber. Like he was actually put to work on building, and I think probably building and engineering the chamber, actually making sure the test subjects were ready and all that kind of stuff. But then in the future, he's experimenting on the kids, on the twins and everything. So he's experimenting on people in the future. So well into the future, he's still doing all that kind of infusion stuff, and actually working with powers, and you know, having Hydra kind of you know, study the stone's effect on different test subjects and everything. So he's still doing that stuff on into the future and everything. And then Hale is still with the Air Force, and I think Hale kind of still has the military connections and military kind of resources and all that kind of stuff that she can use to do investigations and other kinds of stuff. So I think it's interesting because I think that kind of stuff also, especially if the school thing was actually a Zola funded thing too, it would kind of make sense that maybe it would either be his idea or maybe it would be the school's idea to actually have the kids infiltrate different positions in society, because in that way they could actively be spies and actively work their way up the ranks and actually work their way up into doing different things too. So kind of makes sense that their placements would actually be either mid-level or kind of like a actual entry-level kind of different kind of positions within within society, like government jobs and different kind of actual kind of like intel agency and like other kind of like other kind of like high kind of roles in society, like places of like legality and stuff. Because then I don't know if I mentioned this before in like another reaction for Shield, but did always make me wonder like exactly like how low the positions go, like, or like exactly what kind of positions they go to as well. Like if there are kind of like undercover Hydra lawyers and undercover Hydra kind of, you know, like people working in like shops or what. But then I think knowing Hydra, I feel like they would I think knowing Hydra, I think also like knowing how the placement process works in this too, I feel like it would make more sense that they'd actively need any placements to be in like actual kind of places in like intelligence agencies and in like military positions and places of actual kind of high authority and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just so kind of really really crazy to think about. So yeah. And of course, who else returns but our one and only General Glenn Talbot. So he returned in the flashbacks too, in the actual flashbacks too, he returned, and he was in hospital and he survived the gunshot wound as well, and he had the whole bandage wrapped around his head and everything, but then he I think he was having trouble kind of like maintaining kind of stability and everything. I think in the end, I think once he did fully break down, he actually was kind of transferred out of the hospital to Hydra custody. I think Hale did tell him, like, your family's afraid of you. You can't be trusted around other people, and your reputation is pretty much over too. Like your career has ended too. Your career with the military has ended, and you also can't be trusted around other people, or even trusted with your own health and safety. So like everything, like his life was essentially over, and he could not be allowed out in public anymore, which then made him ideal for Hydra custody and perfect for Hydra custody too. So then. So then I think after that it was all just kind of Hale kind of showing Talbot the ropes and showing him all the different things about their thing, and even showing him the transceiver as well and everything. So there was that. But I think Talbot wouldn't budge. I think from the get go, Talbot wouldn't budge. I think even what he called I think him meeting Ruby too. What he called it. I think again that's one of the things I actually didn't miss about Talbot. His nicknames, the nicknames he would hand out. So I think he called her like CrossFit Tinkerbell. I think that is how you know. That right there, that is how you know that Talbot is still, and then he's back. That is how you know Talbot's back. Like his nicknames are like a Talbot trademark kind of character trait and everything. So him calling her CrossFit Tinkerbell is like that's the official sign. Like, okay, now we know Talbot's back. So yeah, but then he didn't break. He I think he knew that they wanted his intel on Shield and everything he knew, and all the stuff that all the info that she wanted him to give her and everything, but then he wouldn't budge, he wouldn't move, he kept. I think that was easily the saddest part of the thing too, like the flashback showing him being so ready and being so willing to not break, and even swearing that Shield would come for him and that Coulson would come for him and that he'd be saved. And then fast forward to the present day, and Coulson sees him again after so long, and then he's beaten and rugged and scruffy, and he's just kind of broken, and he's like, you know what, like I'm so sorry, like he's active, like him actively apologizing, him actively apologizing in the room, and then him being dragged out of the room, kicking and screaming, like him still screaming, like I'm sorry Phil, I'm so sorry Coulson, like him saying like I tried to stay strong, I tried to hold it in, but they broke me. I thought I hoped you would come, I hoped you would come, but no one came and nothing happened, and in the end they did actively managed to break him and everything. He told them everything that he knew and everything subsequently that they needed to know. So yeah, I think that was easily the saddest part about like his scenes, like him going from so headstrong, like even despite his injury and like how severe the damage still was claimed to be and everything, like him still kind of insisting on staying strong and not breaking and never giving up everything, especially him being like an actual kind of decorated army general, him having been like an actual decorated army general too. Him having been a decorated army general too, you'd think he as a rookie and upon joining the army, he would have gone through different kind of techniques from the army to actually kind of resist interrogation and resist torture and all that kind of stuff. But then he's still under kind of Hale and her Hydra. He still breaks, and he actually apparently gave them everything. So yeah, but yeah, we had the briefest of Talbot and Coulson reunion, so that was fun. So that was cool. But then he, I think easily one of my favorite bits too. Him immediately dismissing the claims that Daisy Johnson was the one that shot him, and immediately saying like, you know, I might not have, like, you think I don't have all. I think he said like, you know, you think I don't have all my onions in my head or something. But then him being like, you know, like I know for a fact it had to be one of Ivanov's tin cans that shot me and not Daisy Johnson. Like it had to be an LMD. So even he is actually confessing. And even he knows, because then he knows that, you know, like even up until that moment too. Even to that moment too, Shield was on his side, Coulson was on his side, the team was on his side, like they would never double cross him or betray him like that. So he knows that if Daisy Johnson walked in and then shot him in the face, then it had to be some kind of a setup or some kind of like a trap or a trick or something. So then he knows like the real Daisy Johnson, who has been trained and mentored under Coulson and May's kind of wing too, and tried to be loyal and all that kind of stuff. He knows that the real Daisy Johnson would never shoot him. So he knew it had to be an LMD. So props to even Talbot for actually, again, even with his injury, even with his actual mental kind of issues that he's going through as well, he still is able to actually kind of remember and actually recognize that Daisy had to be an LMD programmed to attack him in order for that to happen, and that the real Daisy would never do that. So if only he could do that in public, in front of actual kind of officials and authorities and everything, so then that way Daisy's name could be cleared. But not just yet. So Yeah, but either way, yeah. So Talbot, he is back. So I think yes, I think I mean, in his condition, I don't think he'd be put through the chambers. I think either Daisy or Ruby. I think at the end, I think either Daisy or Ruby might still go through. So yeah. See, I think in the end, I think it has to be either Daisy or Ruby that goes through. Because I think even with Ruby too, I think it was like her reaction to finding out that she wasn't the destroyer of worlds. Like I think because then she even addressed Coulson about his time travel thing and said like, okay, how do I do it? How do I end up destroying the world? And then him being like, I'm so sorry to burst your bubble of like aspiration and everything, but you're not the destroyer of worlds. Daisy Johnson is. And then so then she finds out that like she finds out that this thing she's been so heavily and so like toughly and so kind of like so extensively trained up for and built up for by her mother isn't going to happen to her in the end anyway. So it isn't going to happen to her in the end anyway. So then and I think she then figures out that it's actually Daisy Johnson who becomes the destroyer of worlds and everything. So then she realizes that like everything she's fought for, everything she's worked so hard for, is then taken away from her by Daisy. So then, kind of wondering like if that's like the first kind of steps to igniting some kind of like a rivalry between them, and like maybe if then her obsession with Daisy then turns into jealousy or turns into some kind of like a rivalry or some kind of like a fight between them or something. So then it'll be interesting to see if that's the path it goes down. But then with Daisy, I feel like maybe then. I feel like because then she's gonna consult Robin too. I think the ending did show that she's actually gonna go. She's gonna go and consult Robin. Because then she said like a electoral fortune because then Fitz said that like an electoral fortune teller could actually say that could tell you that another crack would happen. Now that they're back in the present day where Robin is alive and young again and everything, so then that way she can actually go and consult her and actually kind of ask her what she sees and what Daisy has to do. So then I feel like maybe the key then I feel like it might just be Daisy still having to go through the machine, but then not breaking the earth, or maybe actually kind of like maybe it's maybe it's going to be a case of like, oh, you have two choices, either break the earth or defeat the enemy, or do this or the other, or something. So I don't know, but yeah, I feel like it honestly could be either one of them. Like it could be either Ruby or Daisy in either circumstance, in either regard. So. And then yeah, we had the Daisy and Fitz scene. That stuff was kind of tough to watch too. May kind of talking to Fitz and being like you need to like even May trying to actually connect with him through the framework. Be like, I was in the framework too and I was evil, so I know like exactly how that takes a hold on you and how that can affect you and everything. But then with Fitz, difference is like his mind has already kind of been through so much, and then the scarring from the framework was that much more kind of apparent on him and actually kind of more everlasting on him. And stuff, so there's that. But then yeah, I think she tells him like he needs to embrace the darkness and embrace the doctor side of him to actually kind of figure out exactly what Hale wants with Coulson and what Hale's kind of end game is here and everything. So then he comes up with the idea of actually kind of using the computers and actually being let out and being free to use shield resources again, to which Daisy's listening into, and then that whole scene between him and Daisy as well, was tense as fuck. So. Yeah, I think it's safe to say Daisy and Fitz are not going to be on good terms anymore. On good terms for quite a while. I think it's safe. It feels pretty safe to say that Daisy and Fitz are not going to be on good terms for quite a while, because I think Daisy's not just traumatized, but I think she actively does feel betrayed. She actively does feel betrayed by Fitz, and like he did actively kind of like non-consensually perform like such a risky and such a hazardous kind of surgical operation on her, knowing it could kill her, or even actually kind of paralyze her or do other sorts of stuff to her. So everything that because I'm pretty sure like Fitz was there. When Simmons actually listed all the risks and all the stuff that could go wrong with taking it out without the proper tools and then the proper procedure and everything. So then, even knowing that, I think even like Fitz actually so adamantly insisting that like he doesn't regret doing it. He just kind of like ever so slightly regrets how he did it. So then, it's a sign. I think that along with the actual kind of the stuff that actually happened too is like a sign for Daisy that he can't be trusted. He is Hydra now. He's Hydra, and the Doctor is in his head, so he can't be trusted now. He can't be trusted to lead the team or to help the team or to do stuff that the kind of or to even not do stuff that the team kind of feels uncomfortable about or anything. So it's going to be interesting seeing how the kind of this Daisy and Fitz kind of feud kind of moves the team forward and how they actually approach it in the future. So yeah, but that whole scene, I think that whole scene also was actually acted out so eloquently and so perfectly by Chloe and Ian too. Like, I mean, I think I feel like Chloe, and when they're together, I feel like Chloe and Elizabeth and Ian are always at the top of the game with each other too. So, like oftentimes in like a Bus Kids kind of chemistry kind of way, but also like there's just them being them, embracing their characters, embracing their scenes, and embracing like embracing their material and embracing everything that they have going for them and everything. I feel like they're always kind of bringing their A game like with each other and apart too. So I think that whole scene between Fitz and Daisy, because I think it's very, I feel like it's really quite rare for you to see the Bus Kids actually kind of disagreeing or actually having any kind of tension or drama, because then they're meant to be a part of the family, and then they're meant to be kind of family with each other, and then they're meant to be like, I mean, I'd say like they're meant to be family, but then again, family can have like, family can very easily have ups and downs just as much. So I think they're not meant to be happy 100% of the time. But then when they have drama, I think usually you kind of feel like, oh, that like usually you feel like, well, when there's drama, you usually feel like, oh, there might be like an end to this. I can see an end to this. But with this, it's like, you can probably see an end to this too. But there's like the way like it's going right now, like how intense it is and how deep that kind of feud is, it like how deep that drama is running to. I feel like it's like this feels so much more severe because like violations have been made and like actual kind of trust has been broken and everything, and then there's just all sorts of different kind of perspectives and stuff going on. So yeah, I think it's just the beauty of that scene being written and like it just being acted out so well by Chloe and Ian. So those two always have it. Those two have always got it, and then they never fail to they never cease to actually kind of to please and stuff. So yeah, it's really great. It's really great. But yeah, I think for now that is pretty much all I've got. Pretty much all I have for now. All my initial thoughts. Again, after watching this episode, probably gonna have so many more ready for the next episode, for the next reaction and everything. So there's that. But for now, all my initial thoughts for this episode are out of the way. So yeah, that was really fun. It was really interesting and really kind of a really packed kind of episode for the season. So I can't wait to see how things progress from here with the Confederacy and a possible kind of Shield and Hydra kind of unity and like a union going on between them, and seeing what Daisy finds out from Robin and how the team moves forward and all that kind of good stuff and everything. So yeah, can't wait to progress with this season and with the show. So yeah, that is pretty much all from me for now. After this, I'm gonna go check out Ian's newest project on BBC iPlayer, the Control Room, and see exactly how he does in that. So that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be really fun. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So that was Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Episode 15. So thank you guys, as always, so much for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then feel free to leave a like and comment on what you thought of the episode. For those interested, I'm forgetting my own outro. For those interested, the full-length reaction will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that out over there. And comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next in the show too. Again, forgetting my own outro. But yeah, and again, full-length over on Patreon. So that is that. So that is all for now. So until the next time, bye bye for now.